Right, welcome you to the lecture on procurement of general goods. And this is for both project management and dispute resolution students. Hope you all can see the slides as well as you can hear me and see me as well.
Yes.
Yes, right. Thank you. And to introduce me, almost all the students are known to me, but for the formality, I will introduce myself to you. I'm Kanchana Pereira, professor in quantity surveying attached to the Department of Build Economics. And I'm a quantity survey by profession and a fellow member of Institute of Quantity Survey Sri Lanka, fellow member of Royal Institution of Chartered Surveys, as well as fellow member of ASU, Australian Institute of Quantity Surveys, as well as I'm the current president of Institute of Quantity Surveys Sri Lanka. So my background is quantity surveying, even though I am a professor and fully academic. I was working in the construction during last 7-8 years. I was involved in practical work, a practitioner as well as a academic both. I'm not purely an academic, right? So there are key words here: procurement, general goods, right? In my presentation, I'll be touching what is procurement. It's known to you, but we will see how this government, National Procurement Agency, how they define procurement. Procurement of goods, parties to procurement, then procurement life cycle. What are the steps in the procurement? Contents of bid documents for a procurement of goods. How do we do bid evaluation and comparison when it comes to the procurement of goods using NPA guideline? Then, how are we going to award the bid? What durations are available and what are these? And importantly, what ethics principles should we use? Should we follow? Then, how are we going to communicate with bidder? Finally, most important part, common problems. I think there are 4 slides, so which I have prepared with my experience in the construction industry or in the industry by doing procurement works. So these common problems will help you to solve your day-to-day problems as well as answering your examination as well. So there are some ground rules in my lecture, since you all are MSc students. So I hope to learn things from you as well. So your continuous involvement is very important. Even though we do online lectures, I am very happy to get your input as well. In the middle of the lecture, I will disturb and ask, what do you think about this? Do you have any question, anything to clarify? Please join and answer or ask questions. So normally, MSc lectures are brainstorming sessions. They are not purely lectures. You all have qualifications. You all have good jobs. So we have to share our knowledge. That is my understanding. In addition to that, I will give some time to ask questions. So you better answer or ask questions or whatever there may be important things. So this is a very friendly session. So we will have a very friendly discussion, right? So if you have any trouble or anything, you can disturb me and ask questions or you can clarify things. So I'm so happy to contribute, and as well as I'm so happy to get some knowledge from you as well, right? You all are adults. And very kind request, don't let your phones or anything to ring during the lecture disturbing others. Other than that, there are no other things. But when we come to the lecture hall physically, we prefer to go here and there, talk to you, see you, whatever, walk around the lecture hall and do the lecture. But unfortunately, it's not easy now due to this prevailing situation. So now I'm going to start the recording of the session, and I hope to send
Recording
it to
in
you.
progress.
Right? So that does not mean you are going to switch off your whatever, keep logging and do something or involve some other work, but please listen and get the knowledge since you pay money to us and you have identified your requirement that we must do a MSc, right? So, right? What is procurement? It's acquisition of goods, services, or works. So there are three categories. What do you mean by acquisition of goods? What is coming under goods acquisition generally? Say if you order kitchen equipment, if you order chairs, desks, or computers for a computer lab, those will come under goods. Services, if you get a consultancy service or something like that, it is services. Or works, generally works covers the construction works. There are other works as well. Commonly it's construction works. Okay? Right? Then, the goods, services, or works are appropriate. It should be appropriate. If you need a quantity survey for a work, if you try to whatever acquire a technical officer for that, it's not appropriate. So you should select the appropriate good service or work to the best possible cost. It's an important point of procurement. You should get it for the best possible cost. So it's not the lowest, but best possible cost, meeting all the requirements and the reasonable cost. Meet the needs of acquirer in terms of quality. You have to see the quality. If you need good quality computers, branded computers, you cannot go for any other thing. Quantity. If you need 100, if your supply says, I already have 50, then it's not the required quantity. Then the required time. So if I'm going to start my computer lab by end of October, I need computers to come to the university at least beginning of the October to connect it to whatever, at least mid of October to make the lab ready by end of October. And in the right location, not to the airport, but to the relevant place within the given time. So likewise, when you consider procurement, its acquisition, it may be goods, services, or works. It should be appropriate, best possible cost, meeting the quality, quantity, time, and location factors of the procurement agency. Then, how procurement is defined by NPA, National Procurement Agency, right? NPA. Unfortunately, I must tell this to you as well. National Procurement Commission was established few years back. Then it was gazetted as well, but gazette was not approved by the parliament. Then it abolished. National Procurement Commission. It was the latest one, but we were unable to implement it. As you all know, Professor Chitra Vedikara was the chair of the National Procurement Commission, but even though there is a gazette and all, it was not approved and we were unable to function it properly. Therefore, still we are using National Procurement Agency guidelines, which was published in 2006, long ago. Right? So, according to NPA, the obtaining by procuring entities of goods, services, or works. As I explained earlier, it may be obtaining goods or it may be services or works, right? By the most appropriate means with public funds. So most of the time, GOSL funds, Government of Sri Lanka funds, or funds from any other source, local or foreign, received by a way of loan or grant or gift or donation, right? So you have seen in most of the documents, it says GOSL, Government of Sri Lanka. Or it may be a donation by local body or a foreign body. For example, it may be a ADB grant, loan or donation. It may be JICA funds. Okay? Those are foreign grants, gifts or donations, sometimes loans. Then it would include purchase, rental, lease or hire. Don't think it's only purchase. It may be rental or lease or hire. So we had a situation in our university. So we constructed the food court and we were trying to order the furniture. But furniture should be made out of it's a steel and timber combination, and those tables should be fixed to the ground with nuts and bolts. It took some time. So all the whatever outlets are operating, building is ready. So we had to wait till we receive furniture. Therefore, what did we do? Till we receive permanent furniture, we whatever rent, we took some chairs and tables on rental basis. That is also procurement. It may be lease or it may be hire. So remember, when we think about procurement, it will just come to our mind, it's purchase. It's not purchase, it's purchase, rental, lease or hire. Okay? Then, so mainly there are two types of procurement: goods procurement, services procurement, works, as I mentioned, described earlier, right? Here in our lecture, we concentrate on procurement of goods. What do you mean by goods? Means of all commodities, raw material, machinery, equipment, and other material commodities, raw material, products, equipment, and other physical objects of every description, whether in solid, liquid, or gas, form, and electricity. So you can understand what do you mean by goods. So in University of Moratuwa, when it comes to goods procurement, we are coming across with ordering tables and chairs for the classrooms. It's coming under goods procurement. Ordering equipments for kitchens, again, goods procurement. Ordering computers for computer labs, goods procurement, right? So when it comes to a hotel, ordering furniture or other accessories to the hotel will come under goods procurement, right? So I hope you can understand what it is. It may be solid, liquid, or gas form, or sometimes it may be electricity. All will come under goods procurement. Not only products as I described. So, are you okay what it is, the goods procurement? Anything you would like to ask about these slides? Few slides we have finished. Procurement of goods. It's for you to ask questions, right? Anything you would like to clarify?
Can a software can be considered as a
yes,
goods?
It's a goods procurement. Very good example. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah? Right? If you procure software, it will come under goods procurement. So I have a very good example in the university. So we had to order a BIM system, building information, no, not BIM, BMS system. Okay, BMS, right? So building management system. That's kind of a big system, but majority carried some software. So it is coming under goods procurement, right? Likewise, any other question you would like to ask? Thank you for asking that question. Important question for further clarification. Right. What are the procurement documents according to NPA guideline or NPA, National Procurement Agency? What documents do we use for government work? Procurement Guidelines, Goods and Works, 2006. Procurement Manual, 2006. SBD document for procurement of general goods under national competitive bidding. All these are available in this website. So you can download those books. So if you are working in a government organization, generally we go for these things, right? So there are methods. So you all know nowadays this coal power, when there is a court order or court whatever case regarding that. So for that also, we need to use this NPA guideline. I'm not going to talk about that. When there is a court case, it's illegal to talk about that. That is an example only. Don't ask about that from me as a question. Right. Who are the parties to procurement? Purchaser. The entity purchasing goods and related services, or the client actually. Purchaser, who is going to buy or purchase. Supplier. It may be private, government, or semi-government, or combination of private and government, whose bid to perform the contract. Supplier. Then subcontractor. There may be a party to whom any part of the work is subcontracted or sublet. So mainly there are three parties. Purchase. If we are going to construct a computer lab and if we are going to order computers or softwares, University of Moratuwa will be the purchaser. Supplier may be Genius or Robert Agencies or any type of supplier. Subcontractor means there may be some part of that work sublet to a party. That party will be named as subcontractor. Right? Then, when we talk about the procurement life cycle, what are the steps in the procurement process? Identification of need, very important. You should identify the need. Understanding of the company need. Okay? So, if you are to teach BIM, Building Information Modeling, if you are to teach building management systems, you should see the curriculum. I'm talking as the University of Moratuwa. If I want to order a software like that, I must see my curriculum. Plus, I must search in the industry. What are the needs of the clients who provide jobs to our graduates? Considering those things, we will order our software. So it is not only matching to the curriculum, but it should match to the industry needs when we order softwares. Why it should match to the industry needs? Our graduates should go and work in the industry. So we have to identify our needs, requirements. Then we have to see the potential suppliers, right? Identify who can provide the required product or service. Then we communicate with suppliers. It may be open advertisement or request for quotation, proposals, information, tender. But please be careful when you do the supplier communication. I must tell you an example. I think it's nearly 15 or 12 years ago. We had to order a building management system to our department. Again, that is for learning purpose of facilities management students. Unfortunately, only one BMS system was there in the country. So we had to write our requirements accordingly. So that was misinterpreted as we are supporting or we are biased towards that supply. So therefore, please understand the broad needs, requirements, and you communicate with suppliers, get their information, but prepare your bid as a very broad document covering everything. Then negotiation. So you have to, if you are working in a government sector, you have to have the same negotiation with everybody. Yeah? Availability, customization, possibilities. Okay. Sometimes we do negotiation after selecting the supplier even, right? Sometimes it may be too late, or we will have to do it for all the suppliers, the negotiation. Same negotiation being a government institute. Then supplier liaison. Evaluate the performance. What were their whatever relationships and all, how was their after sales service, everything, right? As well as we have to arrange the logistic management. Shipment, delivery, payment, installation, training. Very important things. Some of you may think that these are not part of procurement. No, these are the parts of procurement as well. Shipment. When that ship is going to receive Colombo port, from Colombo port to the university, how they are going to deliver. How we are going to do the payment, initially 25%, 25%, likewise at the end of maintenance period, last 10% of payment arrangement. Then who is going to get installed these things? Whether supply is providing experts or we are required to find experts. Then after installing, most of the suppliers, they conduct training for the staff of that procuring agency. So therefore, you have to see all these things when you procure. Okay? Shipment, delivery, payment arrangement, installation plus training. There is important one is not there. Storage as well. Delivery, not only delivery, storage. You have to store the things very carefully, unless otherwise goods will not be useful or it get damaged if you do not store it properly. Then this is the end of the process, but there is an additional step. Tender notification, deliver tender opportunities to companies regularly and collect their information and keep a schedule for each and every type of good. In a company, you have to maintain, deliver tender opportunities to company and get their whatever profiles, details and update it regularly for future use. So you can see our procurement carries or whatever, it's consisting of number of steps. Identification of needs, very important. As I mentioned, if we identify a software, we should identify the curriculum as well as industry practice as well. We should match both and order or prepare our whatever requirements. Then we have to identify the prospective suppliers in the country. If there are no suppliers in the country, we have to go for international bidding. Then talk or communicate with suppliers. Get requests for quotation, proposals, information, tenders. Negotiation, be careful when you are working in a government company. Price, availability, and customization possibilities should be discussed. Then supplier liaison, evaluates the performance. Then logistic management, one of the very important parts: shipment, delivery, storage, payment, installation, training. Additional step is communicate with them regularly, update your database. So those are the steps in our procurement life cycle. So if you are doing procurement, you have to consider about all the steps in this process. Right? Before I move to the other part of my lecture, any question, any clarification you would like to get from me, or to add anything with your knowledge as practitioners in the industry? Do you like to add something? Any clarification?
Yeah, madam, why differentiate like goods procurements and works procurements? If I see most of the procedures are similar in either works or goods.
Works means construction work, you mean?
Yes. I mean, these
What
steps.
do you think? It's so totally different. No? Construction means you start the process and it's a continuous process with the involvement of number of parties. But these people just bring these things shorter period of almost all the things are ready. Most of the things are ready-made and fixed. So that's the reason. Construction, as we
but the steps are almost similar.
Steps are almost the same. Documents are slightly different. Documents what we use and the process slightly. These things are very important for works procurement as well. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right. Anything else? I'm happy that...
Madam, when we are ordering something from the other country, so sometimes these suppliers are not doing logistic. So in this case, then it would be two contracts. Is it the logistics separate and supply of the goods separate, or how we deal with?
Very good question. When it comes to, I was working in the water board as well long ago, right? Before I joined the university. They had this supply of goods part. Why? Their works, as the previous person asked, their work, whatever construction work is divided into two. Supply of pipes and fittings separately, laying separately. As you mentioned, when it comes to supply contract is done according to this. But some suppliers were there, they were supplying things as well as they were doing the logistic management. Then it was easy. But as you mentioned, if you have that, if the supply is not managing the logistics, sometimes we have to have two contracts, right? But most of the suppliers, they have their own logistic company. Okay? So there may be, in that case, there will be sometimes three contracts. Supplier, there is a contract with supplier. Logistic management, there will be another contract, and laying will be another contract under works. Okay? So then it would be very complicated. And even though they manage logistics as the procuring agency, we also have some responsibility in logistic management. We have to find a proper place in our site to store them. Okay? And we have to have a proper need and plan about the payment. And we have to have this training, installation. Those things should be there in our documents. If you do not write anything about training, supplier will not give you a training, even though we pay money. So logistic, supplier and their logistic management team will have a job, as well as procuring agency is also having a role in this. Did I answer your question?
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Anything additional? So I want you to add something. As I mentioned, this is a brainstorming session.
Miss, what about budget allocation? So budget approval and fund allocations, those things not get place in this procurement life cycle?
It's before procurement. It's in the company. You have to have the budget allocation. According to the budget only, you are going to analyze the need and order. Right? It's
okay.
Prior to this. But it is also, there is a role with that as well.
It is based on the procurement plan. No,
yeah. Anything else? Right. Now we go to the bid document, which you are going to prepare for a procuring of goods. As we all know, as you asked, one of the previous whatever persons who ask questions, our bid document is similar to works bid document. There is a cover, volume 1, volume 2, right? Then in volume 1, we have instructions to bidders, conditions of contract, then contract forms. Instructions to bidders, again, similar to works procurement, we have instructions to bidders. Conditions of contract is a standard document which says your whatever liabilities and obligations, same as the things in the SBD documents. Then there are standard contract forms. If I take instructions to bidders, it says general information, then contents of the bid document is given in the instructions to bidders, how you are going to prepare the bids, submission, opening, evaluation, comparison, award of contract, all these things are described. So how do we prepare this? I was giving you the documents, NPA publications, we use them and prepare this. Don't use ICTAD, whatever, SBD documents to prepare this. This is according to the NPA guidelines we do this. That is the difference between works and goods. When we prepare a bid document for works, we use SBD documents, right? Then, conditions of contract. It's again similar to SBD conditions of contract. You have to read them, download these documents and read. Liabilities and obligations of parties are there. Definitions are there. Similar to SEDA documents, but slightly different. Then we have definitions. Again, same as SEDA SBD documents, but my advice is take those documents and see whether you are working in a contracting company or any company, this procurement of goods is very important. You have to involve in that. Whether you are a young graduate or whether you are a very senior manager, you have to involve in these things. Then, contract forms. There are standard forms. Contract agreements are there. Performance security document is there. There is a standard document for bank guarantee, for advance, everything is there. So these are the contract forms which we use. Right? Then, volume 1. We were talking about volume 1. You can see Volume 1 carries instructions to bidders. What do you mean by instructions to bidders? General details about the project, contents of the bid document, how to prepare the bid document, how you are going to submit and how we are going to open it, evaluation, comparison, how we are going to award the contract, all the instructions to bidders. Then conditions of contract. There are standard conditions. It says liabilities and obligations of parties. Who are the parties? Procuring agency and the supplier. Then definitions of important words. Then the last part in the volume 1 is contract agreement, performance security, bank guarantee for advance payment. Then we move to volume 2 of our document. Under that, you have bidding data sheet, evaluation and qualification criteria, bidding forms, schedule of requirements, contract data, invitation for bid. Those are the things. We will see one by one. Bidding data sheet. Okay. What is this bidding data sheet? Okay. Can you see my bidding data sheet? Or still you are seeing the presentation slide?
Document can see.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. What do you mean by bidding data sheet? This is linked with instructions to bidders. So you are giving whatever with reference to the clauses in the volume 1. If there are changes on or any further details to instructions to bidders, you give those details in bidding data sheet. Right? Purchaser is, you give the Ministry of Justice or whatever. Right? Name and identification number of the contract, supply and place in position of canteen furniture to the proposed office building of Ministry of Justice at Halsdorf. Okay? You can see that is how you write. So, what is the main document which we refer when we prepare this? Instructions to bidders. Further details are given in this bidding data sheet. Okay, likewise for all the clauses, you are giving these things. Okay. Amount of the bid security, bid shall validity period is what? Likewise, you give those details. So, instructions to bidders is a standard document. Please remember that. Right? But bidding data is specific to this project. Right? Then, evaluation and qualification criteria. Right? You can see there is a evaluation criteria which you are going to see. You can see evaluation criteria, how you are going to evaluate. Delivery schedule, deviation in payment schedule. Likewise, there are details. Post-qualifying requirements, right? It says in last 5 years, you have to perform similar kind of projects. How many projects? 1 or 2 with the same similar value. Okay. It talks about liquid assets. Okay. Or the other financial documents you must furnish, your whatever profit and loss account, other financial statements, etc. So, you should give whatever the details which are required. This is again this project specific information. Right? Then, bidding forms. These are standard forms. Bid submission form, price schedule, bid security, bid securing declaration, manufacturer's authorization. Likewise, there are different documents required here. You can see These are the documents. What are these? We will see what are they. Okay. One by one. Bid submission form. There is a standard bid submission form. Okay. So we have to write this as the procurement agency, procuring agency. We must give those package number details. Then bidder must fill those things. Then bidder must sign. Right? So there should be witnesses as well. Bid guarantee, there should be a guarantee form. Again, standard format is there. So bidders must use this. Then manufacturer's authorization. As you aware, sometimes bidder may not supply everything. Some part of the things are taken from manufacturer. Then without going for a separate contract, bidder can get a declaration from manufacturer and bidder can bid for those products as well. Right? Some products are not manufactured by the bidder. Then they get the manufacturer's authorization for bidder to whatever go for bidding process. Right? There are some instances like this. Right? Those are the important documents which are there in the bidding forms. Right? These are standard formats. When are we supposed to take manufacturer's authorization? Bidder is not the manufacturer, but bidder is going to take them from a manufacturer and bid. Then contract data. So this is linked with conditions of contract. What is going to happen to that? You will see my whatever detail. So we refer the contract conditions of contract clause. There may be additions, omissions, or changes. Adding new clauses can be done. Deletion of clauses can be done, or change of clauses can be done with the use of contract data. Within the given flexibility range only. You cannot change almost all the clauses. Right? Contract data provides you permission to change, delete, or add certain clauses. You can do so. Right? So, that is our, right, volume 2. So, I will briefly, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. In that contract data, are we including the clauses from the main contract document in the NPC document or related to purchases? So,
contract data, you want to know about the contract data?
Yes. Are we linking the main clauses from the contract document here?
No. You have the conditions of contract, no. Similar to SBD document, there are conditions of contract in volume 1. Okay? Then, with the use of contract data, you may change or add something to those clauses. Or sometimes, if some clauses are not relevant, not applicable. So, this is not applicable to this contract. So, if you do the works procurement in construction as well, what do we do? In the contract data, what we do is we can change the clauses, we can add a new clause or delete a clause, but we cannot do it to all, but there is a tolerance given in the document. With the use of that tolerance only, we add clauses, change clauses or delete clauses. This is referring to what? Contract data only, not conditions of contract. We use conditions of contract and prepare contract data. Did I answer your question? Still have a question?
No, I think it's okay. If I do, I'll forward later.
Yeah. We have the conditions of contract. You are going to change some clauses in that, or add a new clause or delete a clause. But you cannot delete all the clauses. Huh? Whatever the allowed clauses in this contract data can be done. Huh?
Okay.
Right?
In works contracts, madam, we use particular conditions, right?
Particular conditions to do this. Very correct, Duminda. Yes, it's Duminda, I think. No.
Yes.
Yeah. It's particular conditions. We do the same thing with the works procurement. Here, same thing, right? But as I mentioned, you cannot change all the clauses in the conditions of contract. Then it's not the same contract. Huh? You would like,
ma'am, where is the limit for change?
In this contract data, it's there. These clauses can be changed. You cannot change everything. Huh? Okay. Right? If you are not changing anything, you just keep it. Right? If you want to change, delete this clause. Or if you want to give further details, you can see this. CC11, the name and identification of the contract, you give the details. Okay? So in contract data, it's there. What clauses can be changed or deleted or added is given there instead of this. Right? Did I answer your question or still there is a problem?
No, for now I'm okay, ma'am.
Okay, right. Anything you can disturb me and ask. I'm very happy to answer all the questions. Huh? Right? So we are talking about volume 2, bidding data sheet. What is going to happen? You take the instructions to bidders and change it or give further details in the bid data according to this contract. Evaluation and qualification criteria are given. Bidding forms, standard forms are given. Schedule of requirements. Contract data is linked with conditions of contract. Then we have invitation for bid, which is published in the newspaper. We will send it with an invitation letter. So up to now, anything you would like to ask? Any question, anything? Anything you would like to ask?
Yeah, madam. There's a controversial things in these procurements, that is how to disqualify in certain situation. Now
that means disqualify means what do you want to know?
For example, this qualifications criteria defines how to qualify. Yeah. There are certain instances that some other things are also. There are specific qualification requirements and some other, for example, schedules and other things are requested by the purchaser. And if it is not like acceptable manner, I mean,
I will come to that.
Yeah.
There are deviations, you mean major deviations. Yes. Those things are there in the lecture.
Okay, right.
Schedule. While I'll tell you. Anything else? Anything else? So this is an interactive session, as I mentioned. You can, whatever, since you are day-to-day practicing these things, tell me, it's not the way. Why don't you tell this? Oh, this is what we use. Right? Anything like that? Every year after teaching to MSc students, I also learn things. Right? Why it's a brainstorming? So you better talk and tell me, huh?
I'm sorry, I might have missed the part. Is it the same document that we use for renting, hiring, everything?
Yes. But it's renting, hiring of goods. Say, as I mentioned in my whatever lecture earlier, we had to hire chairs and tables for the canteen till we get the permanent furniture. We were using this document. Okay?
Okay.
When we prepare the bid documents, we may include specific things in the document. Our schedule and duration and the way we want, we need to describe. Right. Anything else? Right. Then we will see invitation for bid. Hope you all have, this is part of the volume 2. You have seen these things published in newspapers. And most of the, whatever in our works procurement as well, we give average annual volume is given as a requirement or a qualification. What do you mean by average annual volume? Right? That is annual value. We calculate annual value and multiply it by 1.5. What we believe is average annual volume should be higher than this. How to calculate the annual value of a project? Project value divided by the duration in months, multiplied it by 12. If our project value is 50 million, if our project duration is 20 months, say 500 million, right? Our project duration is 50 months. Then 500 million divided by 50 multiplied by 12 will give you the annual value of that project. So average annual volume is annual value multiplied by 1.5. This is the requirement to perform this project. What they believe is at least you must have some work in your hand to perform a similar kind of work. So this average annual volume is a requirement generally which is given in the invitation for bids to whatever short list or to select bidders. But according to NPA, project duration is less than 1 year. If project duration is less than 1 year, we do not use this equation. Anybody in the group who knows what do we use when project duration is less than 1 year? Anybody who is working in the government sector can tell me if you know. Any person who is in the government sector? If project duration is less than 1 year, how do we calculate the average annual volume? Any idea? There are quantity surveys in the dispute resolution masters. Anybody who knows? This average annual volume, this normal equation, project value divided by project duration in months and multiplied by 12, is it known to you? Right? If our project duration is less than 1 year, how do we get the average annual volume? It is the normal project value. Instead of annual, give the project value, and annual average volume should be slightly higher than the project value. Why? If project duration is less than 1 year, if we put it into this equation and calculate this annual value achieved by it. Therefore, remember, there are two ways of calculating the average annual volume. What are the two ways? If project duration is 1 year or more, project value divided by the project duration in months multiplied by 12. So that is annual value multiplied by 1.5 will give you the average annual volume. We ask a person who is having this much of average annual volume. It's a requirement in the bidding process. We ask about requirements. This is one requirement. This is common in the works procurement as well. If our project duration is less than 1 year, then don't go for this equation. What do we do is their annual value, volume and average annual volume should be more than the project value. when it is that project duration is less than 1 year, right? Then there is another requirement. Generally, we publish in our IFBs. What is that? Minimum liquid assets. How do we calculate minimum liquid assets? It's the linear value of the project over 3 months. Project value divided by duration in months multiplied by 3. Or in other words, it is the value of the same project during 3 months. It should be the minimum liquid assets, which should be there with the bidder. So these two are very common things in invitation for bid. That's why I wanted to tell you. And this project duration less than 1 year is also a situation where we have so many arguments. But those things are here. Anything you would like to ask? Any question? Any question? Anything? Any question? Am I audible or you cannot hear me? Anything you would like to ask? I want students to talk and ask. Can you see this invitation for bids?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is how we prepare it. Supply and place in position of canteen furniture, chairs and tables to the proposed office building for Ministry of Justice at Halsdorp. Okay. Then it is, we mentioned, project is briefly described here. And period 30 days. And in addition to now, government projects, they allow you should give the rough estimate even. It's allowed. Approximate value of 120 million. So you are allowed to give it even. Approximate value. Don't say 124.5 million. No. Around approximately 124 million or 125 million. Rough estimated value is also given. Right? That's allowed by the government. Then, limited national bidding procedure. Okay, then qualification requirements. As I mentioned, see, then it says average annual volume for supply and installation performed in the last 5 years shall be 10 million. How did I calculate that? Using the formula. If duration is less than 1 year, it's no need to use the formula. Current project value slightly higher than that. That's enough. Okay. Then, to be eligible to bid, for last 5 years, experience have completed for fabrication and supply of furniture, cumulative value of 15 million and at least one similar contract to be performed. Then you have minimum amount of liquid assets, 0.5 million. How did I calculate it? Take the current project, 3 months value of current project, slightly higher than that. That is how we calculate those qualification requirements. Then you must tell the non-refundable fee. What is this non-refundable fee actually? To cover the cost of photocopying, printing, everything. Non-refundable. Then you will have bid security. Okay? That is our bid security. Okay? What is the purpose of bid security? Anybody who can tell me what is the purpose of bid security?
Ensure the earnestness of the bidder.
Yes, very correct. Right? If bidder is going to withdraw his bid before end of the bid evaluation period and we appoint the contractor, we can forfeit the bid bond. Okay? Right? Then. So, are you okay with this average annual volume and minimum liquid assets? Why do we need these things? Purpose? What is the purpose? To give these as the qualification requirements. Any question up to now? Anything you to ask? Questions, please.
Madam, the average annual volume, is it also like rounded off in the invitation?
Yeah, rounded off. That's why, it says slight higher than this.
Okay.
Can you see it's not equal? Huh? That's why you can round off it and give. Don't take it to a very higher level. Why bidders may not be able to get higher works. Huh? If you put a very high value, slightly higher than that. Huh? Okay? It's not equal, higher. Huh? Then you can round off it. Huh? Okay? Minimum liquid assets also, you can make it slightly higher. It's not equal here. If project duration is less than 1 year, you can take the project value here, no 1.5. Okay, why? If it is less than 1 year, if you try to use this equation and multiply it by 1.5, the amount will go higher. That's why NPA guideline has changed this. Anything else you would like to ask?
Yes, ma'am. That project value is the estimated amount, right?
Yes. Estimated amount. That is pre-tender estimate. You are the consultant. Your pre-tender estimate will be used. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Madam, one contractor cannot. If one contractor cannot achieve the qualification criteria, then they can come with joint venture. No?
Yeah, that's possible.
Then to meet the qualification.
Yeah. Then you have to give all the documents of both the parties. Huh?
Yeah.
And you have to show us the documents of joint venture as well. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, that's possible.
And then so in this case, then both contractors can add together and they can show the.
Yes, but you have to have a proper documents for joint venture.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, we will take the completed projects and all the documents and calculate this. Anything else?
Madam, by giving this rough estimate to an average annual volume, aren't we reducing the genuineness of the bidders? Because they know that the amount.
You mean the competitiveness of the bid?
Yeah.
Yes, that is the question. But what they say is, government, I also had the same thing that I had a chance of discussing this. What they say is, this will reduce the what they believe is unrealistically low bid or unrealistically high bid. That's why they give that. Right? But as you mentioned, Dominda, there is a small issue with that. That will affect to the real competitiveness of the bid. That's accepted.
Yeah, madam, that there's another benefit because it's avoided is that it's extremely low quality bidders because they know.
Yeah. Unrealistically low, unrealistically high bids are whatever avoided.
No, madam, I mentioned that there are, unqualified bidders. It's avoid that they should read this.
You mean average annual volume will do that. Liquid assets will do that. As well as if you have 1 or 2 projects in the similar nature during the last 5 years completion of those will avoid. But I think Duminda was asking about this.
Yeah, approximately.
In here we mention in the IFB we used to mention the rough approximate value cost of 150 million or 500 million we mentioned it.
Right. Okay.
He was asking about that. Am I correct?
Yeah, ma'am. Because bidders can play with that amount, no?
Bidders can play with that amount.
Yeah.
Yes, very correct. And that will highly affect to the competitiveness of the bid. That is accepted. But what they say is they are going to avoid the unrealistically low bids, especially. Not high bids most of the time. I mean the low bids in government sector. There are problems like that. Why we always need to go for the lowest bid in the government sector? Unlike private sector, if we reject the lowest bidder, we have to write pages and pages to avoid the audit queries. Huh?
Yeah, even with the low quality products, madam, they can put the amount similar to that.
Yes, similar to that. But our evaluation should whatever make sure, no?
Yeah.
When we do the evaluation, we have to take the samples and quality reports and all the whatever documents and check. Yeah. That is a part of the evaluation. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Anything else? I'm happy that you are contributing. No? That is from my knowledge also. Next time when I'm doing the lecture, I will tell some have this opinion due to this. Okay? Anything else you would like to ask? Right. With this, I will move to the next one. Is it clear? Is there a problem with my internet connection?
No.
No. Oh, right. Okay. Procurement of goods only or supply only contracts. We have different types of procuring methods. International competitive bidding. When the capacity of the domestic contractors, suppliers, and service providers are limited, and the average advantage of international competitive bidding is evident, then we go for international competitive bidding. Or sometimes foreign funded projects. A donor agency may recommend their own country as well. Foreign funded projects also, we go for international competitive bidding. Okay. For example, sometimes, as you mentioned, when we buy computer software, sometimes we go for international competitive bidding as well. Some products we go for international competitive bidding. Purpose is going beyond the competitiveness of the local market. Then the other method is national competitive bidding. Here, when it comes to international competitive bidding, how do we put our invitation for bids? It is a web notice or it may be email sent to different companies for asking bidding. Then national competitive bidding, government procedure is we should put a paper advertisement as well as web notice for these as well. Nowadays, paper advertisement is and newspaper advertisement is an outdated method. Right? You know, when we recruit students to masters also, our earlier method was advertisement in national newspapers. What did we do your time? Advertise in Facebook even, right? Likewise, national competitive bidding even nowadays, what we do is, for the formality, we put a paper advertisement. In addition to that, we give other publicity, modes of publicity as well. Then we have shopping. Small value commodities for which specifications are standard. You can go for shopping. Okay. So when we order some whatever lunch packets, say if we are to order 100 lunch packets for university, we have to use this shopping method and do it. Direct contracting. When the prices or rates are fixed, related to a legislation by the regulatory bodies, fixed rates, fixed prices, then you can go for direct contracting. Standardization of equipment for compatibility with existing. If you need to buy some parts or whatever chairs in the, say in a lecture hall or an auditorium, we have some broken chairs. Say 25% of chairs are broken. We want to order that only. Then we have to match the style or the model of those chairs and go for direct contracting. Okay? Equipment may justify additional purchase of the same type. Again, direct contracting. Right? Then there are other things, repeat orders. Order placed with the original supplier over a short period of time for the supply of the same goods. If you have done the quality testing and it suits your requirements best, first one was competitive bidding and done the good evaluation. Then second one can be repeat order. Then force account, execution of works by using the procurement entity. Our own work will be done by our personals. Say, for example, University of Moratuwa will be doing some work by the maintenance division of the university. Then force account. Sometimes, if we are taking outsiders, emergency procurement methods are there, right? It may be deferred to the normal circumstances, but being government instance, emergency procurement, you must clearly give evidence and justification, unless otherwise you will get 1001 audit coins, right? Then last one, community participation in procurement. So you all know community participation is now a new concept. If you are doing a water supply project for a village, you may get the support of the community, and labor force may be partly by the community. Likewise, there are different concepts, community involvement in procurement. That is also allowed, right? So these are the different types of procurement: international competitive bidding, national competitive bidding, shopping, direct contracting with whatever restricted situations, repeat order to the same bidder, force account, emergency, exceptional situation, then community participation in procurement. Okay? Right. Then bid closing and bid opening. So there are minimum periods of bidding time. For government projects, you have to remember these things. No need to memorize. Why? The document is there. International competitive bidding, local or whatever bidding type, 42 days. More for complex procurement methods or complex work, procuring entity can decide. National competitive bidding, 21 days. These are periods. Restricted competitive bidding, under 14 days or less than 14 days. District divisional level construction contracts, 14 days. Shopping, within 7 days, you can do the bidding process. For emergency work, guideline may not be used and reduced, justifying the situation. Right? So these are the minimums. Procuring agency can go more than this. Why minimum? For bidder to prepare bid documents and give a proper bid. Right? So up to now, any question, anything you would like to ask? Any question, anything you would like to ask? Questions?
Madam, any ceiling values for that ICB, NCB and the shopping?
No, there are ceiling values, but those are fixed by the different ministries actually and different institutions as well. But this international competitive bidding, it depends on these circumstances. Domestic contractors, service providers are limited, or they are not capable of whatever delivering what we require. Or if there is an additional advantage of going for international competitive bidding. And when it comes to a foreign projects, donor agency will insist that you should take it from China. Right? Likewise. Okay? There are limits, but those are depending on different institution and the different department generally. Some ministries may also differ. If you are working in an organization, if you can't talk to the finance division, you can get them. Huh?
Okay, madam.
Madam, that community participant is the procurement of goods. So
it is
procurement of services.
Yeah. Say for example, sometimes some whatever delivery part may be handled by the people in the area. What do you think? Some part will be done. Huh? So small landscaping work is related to supply of something, right? So supplier may supply, there will be small part which can be done by the community. Offloading of the equipment will be done by some labor component will be given by the community in the area. Okay. For a subsidized rate or whatever, or free of charge sometimes. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Very small component. Unlike service works procurement.
Yes.
Madam,
yeah.
For this force account, the items under that, okay, let's say we are using our own equipment, but have those equipment, I mean, were those ones that have been advertised as, have we called for bids on those equipment as well? And in case of absence, we use our own? Or?
Yeah, very good question. We can occupy our personals. Then no need to whatever call for whatever quotations for them. If it depends on the value, huh? Right? No need to go for a national whatever newspaper article or anything. At least you need to have 3 quotations depending on the limits in each government institution. If you want to say take a whatever drill or generator or something like that, you go for at least 3 quotations for that if it is not available in your organization, right? But
so if it's available, we don't have to.
Then available, no need to have. But what you do is that work will be done by the internal staff. It is also kind of procuring. Huh?
So do we have to show any transparency when we are doing that?
Yes. Why? Transparency means, wait, for this. Sometimes there may be no need to bid for this. But you have to prepare some details and get approved from your organization. Unless otherwise, I will tell you a very good example, okay? When there is a visitation panel to the University of Moratuwa, to my department, okay? They need to whatever polish the whole department, floor cleaning and polishing. They must give us a work plan and number of hours and all, unless otherwise they will ask for overtime.
Okay.
So don't tell this to anybody, but this is for your knowledge. Right? There are things like that. Okay? Sometimes if you calculate the 10 persons working 3 weekends would be a high cost.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. Anything else? Did I answer your question, my dear?
Yes, ma'am.
There are, though it's not the whole procurement should be transparent. There are some small parts which we need to cover.
Madam, so in the NCP document, do they ask us to submit areas where which we will provide our own resources from within the organization, or do we have to show that to the government?
This force account, when it comes to you're asking about force account.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, these are very simple things. The organizations, they have guidelines for this going beyond MPA.
Okay, ma'am.
In University of Moratuwa, for this internal work, we have a guideline. And you don't believe this internal work, say if they are doing a small construction within the university, they prepare a BOQ by themselves, okay? But that BOQ should be checked by our department, a chartered quantity survey, and we should say correct. Unless otherwise they believe there will be waste of cement, sand and other material. So that is our internal procedure. Likewise, there will be internal procedures for them. But you have to understand the problems within that system also. OT is one problem, material is the other problem. Okay?
Okay.
They may not use the material in the BOQ. Huh? It may not be a correct estimate of material. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
But that's why we have internal procedures. Okay? Anything else? Likewise, please, whatever, ask 2 or 3 questions and try to get the answer from me. Huh? That's fine. Very good. Anything else? Right. Since, no, I will take another 10 minutes and give you the break. Huh? Right? General style of mine is, if our lecture is 3 hours, I will continue for 1 hour and 40 minutes and give the break. Huh? Then next half will be shorter and comfortable. Huh? Right? So now we move to bid evaluation and comparison of bids. So under NPA guideline, generally we have 2 main parts under this. Bid examination, detailed bid evaluation. What do you mean by bid examination? Number 1, responsiveness of bids. Confirms to all the terms, conditions, specifications of the bidding document without material deviation, considerable deviation, reservation or omission. Is the 3 quotation method is applicable for variations? Yes, for a variation also sometimes we may ask, say for example, we had some specialized dough which is introduced by a bidder, introduced by a client as a variation. So we ask our contractor to get 3 quotations in this variation. Why? It's supplied by a specialist supplier. Then he had to prepare his breakdown for fixing and other work. Okay? That quotation system is there if you get some supply. Bigger component is supplied by a manufacturer. Did I answer your question in the chat box? Yes, right. That is how we deal with the BSc students. If I answer, if they are happy, they say yes or thank you, that's it. Right? So what do you mean by responsiveness is no material major deviation, no major reservation or omission. For examples, bidder is eligible if bid is signed, not only signed, but signed by the authorized person. Sometimes we may require power of attorney even. Bid is legally valid. Yeah, legally valid means legally valid person should sign. Bid accompanied by the required bid security. Required amount, required duration by the required whatever institution provided. Omissions missing, the unquoted items being not of a critical nature. And value of such item is marginal. You have to think about those things. These are material deviations. Okay? Sometimes, right, rejections of bids due to material deviations. Somebody asked these questions. Following documents or information is missing. The bid shall be rejected. Bid submission form is not there. Price schedule is not there. Bid security or bid security declaration is not there. All information or documentation required by the bidding document, required documents are not there. Required evidences are there. Required certificates are not there. If bid says this is without price escalation, bidder is asking for escalation. That is a material deviation, right? So if your work is deviating drastically, then we can reject the bid. Other reasons to reject the bid. Not meeting the deadline. You all know if your bid is a late bid, we can reject it. Okay, very important. Huh? If bid submission time is 3:30, if you come around 3:45, okay, then we reject the bid. Bidder offering a gift or inducement which may have an effect or influence. We can reject that bid. Prove it and reject it. Bidder influence the purchaser in examination, evaluation, comparison, or post-qualification. Sending emails, sending messages, sending additional information which are not requested by the procuring entity. Influencing. Different ways of influence can be rejected. Alterations to formats. If there are standard formats are given, bidder cannot change the formats. If he asks for one standard, he is giving a substitute, can be rejected. Okay? Right? Then, non-adjustable bid is required, but adjustable bid is submitted. So we say no escalations, but bidder is asking for escalations. Then we can reject that bid. A bid valid for a short period. We specify this should be the bid validity period. He is giving a shorter period. Can reject. Limits the purchaser's rights and bidder's obligation. Say, for example, purchaser is asking for 3 years warranty, but bidder is providing it only for 1 year. Can reject the bid for major items. Negative determination of post-qualifications, as I mentioned, liquid assets or whatever these similar kind of experience, then annual turnover. If those things are not fulfilled by the bidder, we can reject. Having conflict of interest. What do you mean by conflict of interest? Say, for example, I am the procuring entity. My brother is bidding as a bidder. Then we can reject the bid. So I am the whatever person or the head of the procuring entity and my brother is bidding. So conflict of interest. One example for conflict of interest. So can whatever reject the bid. So I have a company and my company is sending a bid. Then again conflict of interest. debarred firms or blacklisted companies. There are blacklisted companies. To blacklist a company, there should be a list of things which should be fulfilled. So if the company is a blacklisted one, we can reject those bids. So there are so many reasons to reject bids. Right? Somebody asked that question. So did I answer your question now? Or you need more to be discussed?
Yes, madam.
Answered.
Answered. One thing that there are certain. Are there any request for clarification? Room for request for clarification?
Yes. I'll come to that. It's there. It's there. I will talk about that clarification.
Okay, madam.
If I'm not answering at that time even properly, you have to disturb me and answer. Right.
Okay, madam.
Anything else about these rejections? Right? Now I will give you a 10 minutes break. Right? According to my handphone, it's 2:43. I will start by 2:53. 10 minutes break. Before wind up, do you have anything to ask? Right? Now the short break is going to get started.